Hello, you are listening to From Maclay to Zama. I'm your host, Karen Miller. This podcast is about the adventures of two women from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, who worked for the U.S. Army at Camp Zama, Japan, from 1953 to 1955. Their stories are told through hundreds of letters written home. Episode 46, Metamorphosis, letters 146 to 151. So after a week on the Mayo diet and reading what they had to say about it, I'm going to have to weigh in on this. I lost 6 pounds, and it was only because I was starving, and then I couldn't sustain it and started eating again. So I have lost a little weight, but certainly it was not a metamorphosis for me. I was horrified when Byrne talked about vision problems and fainting as a result of the diet. They both expressed so much concern about their mother being on it. It kind of was admitting that they knew it was unhealthy. They basically starved themselves for a week and lost 6 to 10 pounds until the fading and vision problems started. Really? Then there is the unrealistic body image issues that maybe everyone had in the 1950s. I don't know. Audrey Hepburn was certainly a beautiful woman. She looked great in those beautiful clothes in Sabrina, but she had also starved during World War II and had lifelong health issues as a result of it. In one letter, Peg called herself fatty, and Byrne struggled with weight for most of her life until she did Weight Watchers in her late 60s. I'm sorry that this was so much of the culture that they experienced, and that so much of these letters are about food and food making them happy and food reminding them of home. And they did exercise, and there's a lot of activity involved, described. And Byrne certainly was interested in sports, maybe more than Peg. So I don't think that they were, I don't know. I think they just weren't as thin as they wanted to be. So we also have heard several references to the projector purchase, and this is where I admit that besides hundreds of letters that I inherited from my Aunt Peg, I also inherited boxes and boxes of slides that I haven't figured out how to process or deal with or digitize. So now I look forward to looking at them, because I will know much more about what and who I am seeing, and the trips that they went on to photograph, and what they saw and what they did. I looked into digitizing them when I got them back in 2017, and at that point there was not affordable technology that would efficiently let me process them. I don't know. There's probably thousands of them. It was cumbersome. You could do them one at a time in a little thing and digitize them on your computer. And I bought that piece of equipment, but I don't know. That was not really working for me. So maybe there's something better now. I'll have to look into that. So let's get started on the letters and be on the lookout or listen out for mentions about cannons and bands, because they kind of shocked me. So letter 146 is from Peg, written the 18th of September, 1954, Camp Zama. Dear Mother and Daddy, I'm so tired right now that I'm too tired to sleep. And although I've tried catching a few winks, I've been mulling over what I want to remember to tell you. So I just got up and here I am. It's Saturday afternoon, not really a time to sleep, but to get on with this letter. First of all, Colonel Klein told Mary and I the other day that we are not getting a replacement for Betty due to the economy program, which is a big laugh because there are so many unnecessary people and unnecessary jobs over here. And in our case, not enough people where they really are needed. But that's the Army for you, and it's bigger than both of us. Mary and I have been working very hard since Betty left, keeping up pretty much well with everything except the filing. I hate it anyhow. But there's just no let up in the workload. Frankly, I like being busy, and I'm truly earning my GS5 now. I started taking vitamin pills, purely psychological because I'm as healthy as a horse. But I keep telling Mary that she should too, and then she wouldn't get so tired. Anyhow, they don't harm me, so I'm going to take them regularly. Just an aside from me at this point, I guess they thought that vitamins were completely safe. I'm not sure that's the case, but we'll just go with that. Last night we went up to the club and I danced with a colonel who I've known for a long time. He brought me home and I'm supposed to have a date with him on Wednesday night for a steak fry at his BOQ, but I hope it rains. Well, it'll be a steak. Also, then I have only a major and a general to date, and I can say I've covered all the ranks. There is a 1-star general over here who has dated a DAC, so we're very convinced he'll never get another star. For a general to date a DAC is unthinkable. He should only date other generals' daughters. This morning I went to the Gray Ladies, had a busy morning and spent a half hour of the visit with Gladys Johnson, a good friend who had a minor operation. I also passed out the usual comic books and Mickey Spillane books to the defenders of our nation. Gad, I never met so many unintelligent men in my life. If any of them asked me for a Time magazine or Reader's Digest, I gazed upon him in awe. So I wheeled my cart back to the Red Cross office and typed, Busman's Holiday, up a schedule for the new Gray Lady course, which will be given in October. The new field director asked me, after seeing the excellence of my work, mistakes all over the place, if I would put in some extra hours typing up information materials for the course. Gladly. Their typewriter is better than mine in the office, and I enjoyed it. Last Tuesday, Mary and I sneaked off work for a half hour to watch a television program. Three of our friends, Donna, Marge, and Wendy, have a trio and have appeared at various clubs in the Zama vicinity. They're quite good, and we asked to perform on a television show over at a Japanese... Okay, and they were asked to perform on a television show over at a Japanese station. The Army doesn't have any television studios over here, and they performed on a weekly program given by the service talent. They sounded good, but the camera jiggled a lot just as they went on. TI&E and PIO, which is Public Information Office, works hand in hand, and the PIO has a small studio out here at headquarters. That's where we went to see the show. Wendy went back to the States the next day, so I imagine she was real pleased with her last day in Japan. Wednesday, Bern and I went to Yokohama and bought a projector and a screen. Naturally, I had to stay up late Wednesday night to try it out. Bern was asleep as soon as she got home, but not me. I just couldn't sleep without trying it. Thursday night, we showed off our slides to Gladys, and upon finishing, I said, gee, I can hardly wait to show them to the folks back home. Gladys said, well, she'll probably be on her way home tomorrow, if she's as excited and in such a hurry about that as she is about everything else. That bugger, she's getting to know me too well. Bern just hollered and laughed, and I promptly told them that I hated them and I would never speak to them again, while I was just roaring myself. Folks, the projector is wonderful. The slides look good in the viewer, but they look almost professional through a projector. The projector costs $38 and the screen costs $8.50. The stateside price for the projector is $49.50, plus tax, I guess. We also bought an ice pick, cologne, washcloths, an egg poacher, and we each bought some lining for coats we were going to have made. I'm going to have black, and Bern's will be beige. I had a fitting on my corduroy suit, and I think it's going to be real sharp. Probably when they cut into the gabardine, it will look like the devil because it's twice as expensive as the corduroy, but that's the chance you take. Some silly school teachers are singing in harmony across the hall, and they're driving me batty. When I see how silly they act, I sure miss Katie. Mother, I told Gladys what you said about not showing her any of your letters, and she said to be sure to tell you and Daddy that your letters are the greatest. Sometimes I read her parts of your letters, Mother and Daddy. I let her read the last one that you wrote, and she talked about it for days. I also told her that I was going to tell you the truth about her, that she was full of crap. And she said, by all means, set them straight. She's an avid reader and forever quoting something or the other. One of her favorites is Somebody or the Other. This is from me, Franz Kafka, going through a metamorphosis. I wanted to use the expression myself once when describing somebody, so I said, not being able to think of the word metamorphosis, she's going through a thanatopsis. I actually thought she and Bern would just suffocate from laughing so hard. So then they patted me on the head and said, that's all right, baby, just keep trying. Another one I said that shook them up was when I commented on how hungry I was. Invention is the mother of hunger. So they looked at idiot child for a few seconds and made me walk 5 paces behind them. Anyhow, Gladys has a quotation for everything, and I just had to get in on the act too. Typhoon June didn't amount to much, just Takusan rain and high winds. Lorna is with us now, but she's settled down to a steady downpour. I have never in my life wished for cool weather, but I'm so sick of being hot and sticky all the time. We're still wearing cottons and going without stockings, and it certainly will be a pleasure to put on a shirt and sweater. 2, I'm anxious to wear all the gorgeous creations that I'm having designed. Bern got her weekly letter from you yesterday, but I haven't gotten mine yet. We're so sorry and shocked to hear about Evelyn Howard. I certainly feel sorry for Florence because she and Evelyn were so close. Sometime, please tell the family that I'm certainly sorry and extend my sincerest and deepest sympathy to them. Last night, I also got an invite to a lieutenant's home for a steak some night. He and his wife live in a private rental near Zama and have a patio outside. I worked with him in med section, and they're fine people. Next Saturday, gee, how I do run on, May and I, plus other people, are invited to a cookout at Colonel Snavely's quarters. He and his wife are grand people and true Pennsylvanians. Did I tell you that he was in the frozen food business with Mr. Shoemaker at Shoemaker's Seafood? If we keep comparing notes, maybe we'll discover that we're related. I just adore him, and although I've met May Ellen a few times, she shows me a lot too. The last of my friends from Atsugi, with the exception of 1 or 2, have gone home. They left on Thursday, and it just won't be the same without them. However, 2 new squadrons are due here next month, but I'm sure they won't begin to compare with these guys. Oh well, c'est la vie. We're going up to the club now for dinner. It's Saturday, so it's dinner. Lorna is making rain down like mad, so raincoats and boots are quite the order of the day. I left my umbrella on the bus today, the Japanese one I paid 450 yen for. I guess that about does it for me this time. Tell everyone I said hello and take good care of yourselves. Loads of love, me.
So when is a person dead? The Victorians believed it was when breathing stops, or when the soul departs, when no one remembers the person, or when their name is no longer uttered. Coming in the fall of 2025, explore my father's side of the family. It also happens to be President William McKinley's. Join me, Lavinia, Katie, Elsie, Hazel, Blaine, and David for Deep Below, a new podcast by Cussewago Productions, available wherever you get your podcasts and at www.deepbelowpodcast.com.
Letter 147 is from Peg, written the 20th of September, 1954, Camp Zama. So this includes several photos, and I'm going to describe the photos and read what she wrote on the back of them. And then if you are interested in seeing them, you can go to the podcast website, www.FromMacLay2Zama.com. So if you want to see them. The first one is Gladys. Says Gladys and I are starting our Fuji climb, and they have on, Peg's got on a Japanese straw hat. They have backpacks, long sleeve shirts, jeans, tennis shoes, and their jeans are like rolled up, and they have white socks on. And there's a cute old 1950s car sitting beside them. They're in a parking lot. Naturally, it's at the beginning, and we are smiling. It's taken in front of the billet. Picture 2 is Bern, Peg, and Gladys in front of the club at YED. Soldiers in the background were drilling that day. Number 3 is the commissary at Saginaw. Not sure the name of that one. Gladys and I got a dependent friend to take them to the shop for our weenie roast, and they went wild with delight at being inside a grocery store again. Oh, this is like a grocery store. It's a picture of a grocery store. Okay. Here we have two lovely women in beachwear laying out in the sun, and it's Kathy and their friend Kathy and their friend Happy with sunglasses and 50s bathing suits. And here's one with Bern, labeled My Sexy Sister. And she has a black bathing suit on and is sitting in the sun. She does look pretty. There's some people we don't know, but this is a picnic ground at YED. So it's just a picture of like a picnic shelter. It's pretty. Number 7, another view out of the hotel that they were in before they climbed the mountain. Nice looking roof. It's all about all I can say. See some Japanese architecture and some trees in that one. Here's one real good of Bern, eh? It is good. It's Bern, Peg, and Gladys. And just look at those smiling, clean, lipsticked faces. I only wish we had pictures of us when we got back. Yeah, I do too. I wish. I think that Bern took some, but I don't know if they came out. Number 9, taken from a window from the hotel where we stopped for food. The barrels, so it's these little barrels with a little roof on top of them. I mean, they're definitely barrels. They're big barrels with a little roof on top of them. The barrels are inhabited and reminded me of tiny little motels, but not nearly so clean. Bamboo poles in the background are Japanese clotheslines. The arms and legs of the clothes are slipped over the poles, so no clothespins are necessary. They look like scarecrows, actually. And then number 10 is taken at the station where we slept for a few hours. Quote, no, I can't possibly climb that much farther. Never. Have a no. Gal with the bandana is Velma. Fella is a sergeant friend of hers. She made it only to the ninth station. Notice the small bit of clouds below us. Golden Chariot, Japanese style. It's the bus that took them to the 3rd station. It looks a little rough, like an old school bus. A really cute picture of Bern all dressed up is number 12. And she labeled herself Fatty, which she looks adorable and thin, and Kathy at YED on one of our swimming parties. And they are in bathing suits and laying out in the sun. Dear Mother and Daddy, it's me again, and so soon too. Just wrote a big fat letter to you on Saturday, but I have a few comments to say about things in your letter I got today, plus a few more news items from over here. I'm all showered and shampoo. I had my hair cut again tonight, so there's hardly enough to wrap in a pin curl. Don't holler, Daddy, it looks nice. I forgot to tell you that we got a letter from Sally Conrad telling us she got married on July 30th. Met him May 1st. But says it was a hurry-up courtship because when you reach her age, you can't afford to wait around. She seems very happy, and we're both happy for her. We'll send her some kind of wedding present. Please take $150 anytime you want it, or however much you might need. And just deduct it from the total of my account when you tell me from now on, because it's yours. Have fun with it. There's a terrific article in this month's Red Book on how to go to Europe cheap. So Bern and I have decided to take both of you to Europe with us. Won't that be fun? Now don't laugh because we mean it. But I don't think you have to start packing just yet. Golly, wouldn't it be wonderful if we really could? We're going to work on it. Today we had the first of a series of practice air raids, which will continue for about a month. To be honest, you never saw such a bunch of confused people in your life. Nobody knew which warning we were getting, yellow for maybe, or red for duck for cover. And even the officers, especially the officers, they just looked at each other in a daze. The sergeant came in and told us to open the windows 3 inches and close the blinds and turn off the lights. Colonel Snavely then said, turn the lights on. Regulations don't say anything about turning off the lights. Then we all dug through stacks of regulations to see what to do in case of an air raid. I'm telling you, if there is ever a real air raid, this place will be a madhouse. You can bet your life, though, that we'll be the first ones under cover. You'd think at least the officers would know what to do, but if it ever happens, it'll probably be the civilians who take charge. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. Hope you like the pictures. They were taken before we went on the diet. P.S. We still look the same, darn it. I'm really going to go back on it religiously for 2 weeks. I had something else to tell you, but I can't think of it now. I'll close. I guess by the time I seal the envelope, I'll remember it. Take care of yourselves and have lots of fun. Fatty. Not living that, but that's what she wrote. Letter 148 from Bern, written September 25th, 1954. Hi, kids. This will be scribbled, and I do mean scribbled to let you know that I'm still alive and kicking. We've been tremendously busy with personnel work in our section, and Mrs. C has not yet returned, so I've been coming home at night completely exhausted. Everyone complains, too, about the inertia caused by this not too hot but sultry weather. I either flop on the bed with a book, in which case I can't keep my eyes open past 9 p.m., or I go to the early movie and hop in bed immediately after returning, which makes lights out time about 8:30 p.m. Currently, you have no need to fear of my burning the candle at both ends. Last night, about 5 of us gals went to the hour of power service at the chapel. It was an informal time of hymn singing and an interesting talk by Stanley Minair, a former Air Force pilot who was shot down over Saipan during the war, World War II, and spent 15 months in a prison camp in Yokohama. He has since entered the Baptist ministry and has now returned to Japan as a missionary. We also signed up for the Chapel Center's next Sayonara dinner next Friday night. Each month, a covered dish supper is prepared by the families of the Chapel Center, and for 60 cents, we DACs and GIs may attend too. We're looking forward to the home-cooked food, believe me. However, tonight I'll have a home-cooked meal because I'm going into the Lockwoods at noon to attend Kathy's dance recital, and then I'm invited for supper. I helped plan the menu, and we're having roast beef, mashed potatoes, string beans, for Bill, not me, pear salad, and chocolate pudding. Not a snack bar item on the entire menu. Hallelujah. Peg is going to a barbecue or cookout at the home of one of her bosses this evening, so you can see the Harnish gals are being entertained this weekend. It is now 10:15, so I've got to start getting dressed. Weather very warm. What shall I wear? White linen dress with red jacket, which requires a girdle, or lavender sleeveless dress, which doesn't, but might prove too cool for the evening trip home tonight. It's these decisions which bother a gal. Bye now. The insurance money is enclosed, and I'll write a better letter soon. Promise. Love, Bern. I hope she picked the lavender one. I think she would look beautiful in that. Okay. Letter 149 from Peg, written the 27th of September, 1954. Dear Mother and Daddy, I'll be on my lunch hour now, and I'm writing this in the billet because I'm too busy to type it. However, I want to get this off to you as soon as possible to tell you that we're okay and that Typhoon Marie hasn't done us any damage. Reports are starting to come in over the wires about the terrible tragedy up in Sapporo when a ferry boat sank with 56 Americans on board, plus many Japanese. I'm quite sure that the accounts will reach the stateside papers, hence the reason for getting this off to you promptly. Yesterday, Bern, Mary, and I went Christmas shopping at Yokohama. It was very windy, but it rained just a few drops, and the air was real warm. So other than battling the wind a few times, we had a grand day. And Bern and I have 3/4 of our shopping done. In one day, too. I'm getting all excited again about Christmas, and it's still September. Well, I always do manage to contain myself after a fashion, so I guess I can this year, too. For ourselves, we bought some boxes of slides that are out by a Japanese manufacturer and are really good. There are a lot of different sets, but the 3 we got are festivals, dolls, and Japanese foods, which look so inviting, but ugh, the taste. We're going to buy some more sets of these because the indoor ones especially we can't get ourselves too easily, and they're nice to have. Saturday night we went to the Snavely's for the cookout and had a delicious steak fry with mushrooms, onions, peas, salad, and homemade cake. Mary and I made our excuses early because we just can't carry on a conversation with people about homes, kids, and did you know the so-and-sos in Fort Campbell? Or where are Colonel and Mrs. Such and Such now? Anyhow, it was a nice party, but we left at 8 o'clock and went up to the club, where it was even more dull. I got my corduroy suit on Thursday, and it's just fine. The sharpest thing about it is Margaret A. Harnish embroidered inside the jacket, plus 2 labels telling everyone that it was tailored in Yokohama, Japan. Can't you just see me flipping open my jacket so very casually so that all this written matter is clearly in view? And yes, if you knew Peg, you could picture that. Not much other news besides I got to eat some pickles and peanut butter crackers. Oh, gross. And get back to work. Listen, can you hear the band? They're giving a concert from 1200 to 1300 today. And that's a darn sight better than the 06:15 in the morning. Believe me. Oh, yes, we still have the band and the cannon in the morning at 06:15. And to cap it off, the Zama commander even got a bigger cannon because he thought the other one wasn't loud enough. Love, Peg. Take care of yourselves and have fun. Letter 150 from Vern, written the 2nd day of October, 1954. Dearest Ma and Pa, a glorious October morning to you two. It is only 7 a.m., but much too bright and sunny a day to sleep. So I'm in the process of cooking my breakfast, highly illegal, although it consists only of the use of a hot plate and a toaster. I've got fresh eggs and a wonderful German rye bread, so who can resist? There seems to be nothing of great interest to tell, so you'll have to be satisfied with scrappy bits of doings as I think back over the past 10 days. When I told you briefly about the Hour of Power service we attended, I forgot to mention that the song leader and soloist was our friend who gave us the ride, Sergeant Mayo, when he drove us to dinner with our Japanese friends. He has a beautiful, resonant, full baritone, and to hear him accompany himself on the piano while we sang Amazing Grace was a moving experience. He is certainly a fine person. Last night, we attended the Sayonara dinner at the Chapel Center, but none of us except Gladys stayed for the service afterwards. She was quite perturbed with all of us. Peg and I have just about completed our Christmas shopping. Ain't that something? We took your advice, Helen, and for the most part are sending one gift for the man and wife, usually something for the house. There's a great variety of beautiful art objects to be obtained over here, so we are quite sure folks will be pleased. We hope so. Payday is this Wednesday, and we hope to complete the shopping this coming weekend. If I know Peg, she will have me wrapping the gifts, too, immediately upon our return to the billet. It's good one of us is a go-getter. And what do you suppose would happen to Christmas packages if I were in Japan alone? Goodness. Time out for breakfast. The water is boiling. Had a very good meal, but who should I bump into as I'm walking out the door with egg-stained plate, pan partially filled with water, and the cocoa cup, but Mrs. Kurata, the billet housekeeper whose duty it would be to report me. However, she won't, for she has turned a blind eye to all of these goings-on for many months. She's a good Joe. Did I tell you that I've seen 3 excellent movies lately? The Conquest of Everest, The Living Desert, both of these are documentary films, and then The Caine Mutiny. It was wonderful. Do try to see them if you haven't already done so. Peg had me in stitches at the Everest film because she kept comparing that expedition's trials and tribulations with the Fuji climb that she and Gladys had made. Mrs. Cartmel has come back, but her job was abolished, and she is going out on various interviews to find another one. She is a very entertaining storyteller and gave us a very amusing account of her daughter's wedding festivities. She also warned us that the Dior fashions of utterly straight lines and a flat silhouette are coming back into vogue. No bosoms, you know. What do you expect us to do with them? That's what I want to know. The call of the outdoors is much too strong to resist. I'm going to put on my spanking new blue jeans and a sweater and go for a walk. Will I ever be glad to be home where I can be sure of another early riser in you, Helen-san. I don't dare go to Peg's room before 11, and on weekends when I don't feel like reading or writing letters, I do get lonesome. All these gals sleep late. They don't know what a beautiful part of the day they miss. Bye now. I'm going to hunt up a football game. Lovingly, Byrne. Letter 151 from Peg, written the 4th of October, 1954, Camp Zama. Dear Mother and Daddy, while I've had a pretty fine week, I can't remember what I did on Monday and Tuesday. Probably washed my hair and did my nails. But by Wednesday, things started to pick up. In the office, Colonel Shanahan, who was the chief of Information Division, has been assigned to the 16th Corps up in Sendai, and it was his last week in the office. Colonel Klein was in the hospital for 2 weeks, having various tests made, so that left only Colonel Snavely in the driver's seat. By Friday, he and Mary and I were just wild with so many things that had to be done in such a hurry, so that by 16:45, we were all exhausted. However, he is a complete jewel and thanked us both profusely for sticking with him all week. It certainly makes a difference when you like a job and the people are congenial. I would really have blown a gasket if I had worked that hard in med section, but Colonel Snavely never fails to thank us and tell us that we are both jewels, and then I feel like working 10 hours of overtime. Thursday night, I had a date with a major, finally. He is one of my Marine friends, and I've known him since they first came to Atsugi. He invited me over to his hut to cook steaks, but we ended up going to the club for bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches. Neither one of us was hungry, hence the change in menus. Some of the majors and lieutenant colonels over at Atsugi live in Quonset huts, 4 to a hut, and to us inhabitants of a DAC billet, they look like something out of Better Homes and Gardens. He's another dog, too, dirty dog, and it was a pleasure to talk to him because he is one intelligent man. He's interested in electronics and as smart as a whip. Nice time was had, but nothing special. Friday night, a bunch of us gals went to a church supper at the chapel. Every 3 months, they have a sayonara party for all the folks who are leaving FEC within that 3 months, and we had a real nice time. For 60 cents, we had turkey, sweet potatoes, peas, coleslaw, rolls, and butter, rice, giblet, gravy, pickles, celery, etc., coffee or tea, and delicious cake. My golly, we six ate like pigs. It was a wonderful change from the food at the club, although it certainly wasn't as good as Augsburg's suppers cooked by one Mrs. H.M.H. Helen Harnish. However, we certainly did justice to the meal and stuffed ourselves till we were miserable. Then Kathy and I went to see King Kong. I think she saw it the first time about 20 years ago, and we just got a huge charge out of the dialogue and actions. It was a riot. Saturday, I got up early in spite of what Bern wrote to you. She didn't dare disturb me until 11, and tried on my winter clothes. They all fit okay, but the quartermaster cleaners sure raised hob with the hemlines. Almost all of them were stretched out of shape. So then Kathy, Bern, and I went down to the shops in Sagamihara and looked around, only spending money in a toy shop where we picked up some real cute things for Leanie for Christmas. But I saw some things that I simply must buy to bring home with me, one being a rattan chair. Then we came back to camp, and I took my clothes to the tailor shop, went to the PX and shoe repair place. We were all worn out by that time, but there was a party in another billet that evening, so we hurried up and dressed and went to the club to eat, dashed to the first show to see Naked Alibi, and then Kathy and I went to the party. Gladys and Bern didn't join us, party poopers. I had a real fine time at the party, and another Marine, whose nickname is Swede, Iverson, asked me to come over to Atsugi the next day to see the football game. Naturally, I couldn't say no, and he is a real grand person, so after church and a sandwich, I went over to Atsugi and saw them beat Tokyo Ordnance Depot 66-0. All in all, it was a real fine weekend, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I just decided that instead of having suits and a coat made over here, I'm going to buy the material here and bring it back home with me and have a stateside tailor make it up. My corduroy suit looks okay, but there's just something about Japanese-made clothes that isn't right. They're okay for over here because everyone looks awful when you compare them with someone fresh in from the States. But I think it would be smarter to have them made up back home and look Dajobi, nay? I suppose you read about Typhoon Marie and have gotten my letter telling you that it didn't affect us. Sure hope you didn't worry about us because we're always careful. We haven't had another typhoon since, although it rained buckets last night. But then it rains 80% of the time over here, anyhow, so that's not unusual. Yes, we'll show our sides to any and all when we get home. We're anxious ourselves to see the ones we sent home projected, and we've forgotten what some of them are. I'm certainly glad that you keep us informed about the doings of my brother Mark and his family. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know I had a brother by that name. I can realize that you probably do worry when you don't hear from them, and then you go ahead and call them. But it'll be a cold day down below before I ever do it, and that means from back in Pennsylvania, too. We finally had the heat turned on in our billet, and it feels good, right good. It got pretty cool this afternoon, so I suppose the sticky days are over for this year. Then only one winter, one spring rainy season, and home. I hope it pours buckets the day my ship pulls out. It won't seem like Japan if it doesn't. Kathy is leaving for home the 20th of this month. She lives in San Francisco and is already planning on the places she's going to take us when we arrive there. If things work out the way we have them planned, it will be quite a celebration. Kay Francis is coming out to San Francisco from Boston to meet Gladys, Vern, and I. And Kathy and her friend Phyllis, who was over here for 2 years, will also be there to meet us. Maybe Kit will come up from Alabama, too. Kathy bought a ukulele on Saturday, so she says she can meet us on the dock with her uke and be playing Old Number 9, which is our favorite Marine song. We certainly do have a good time, but I sure hate to see my friends leave. No more paper. Be good and have fun. Talk us in love. Me. Wow. Now I'm really inspired to look for those slides that they bought. When I looked at the slides last time, I just randomly picked a few and looked at them. They were in pretty good shape, especially compared to the ones I got from my grandfather, which had been stored in shoeboxes. Some of those had faded quite a bit and were difficult to decipher. Again, some people and places are obvious to me, but others are most baffling. So another thing I was thinking about was being an early riser. And I think as a child, I knew that Vern was an early riser. I've always been more of the late riser variety, but I have lately started to get up early, and now I know what she was talking about. There's something special about the morning time that I slept through for most of my life. And it's peaceful, and I like that. So now I'm an early riser too. Both aunts have mentioned repeatedly in these letters that most of the men they meet aren't very intelligent or interesting. I know that they were both very intelligent and well-read women, but I'm wondering why they have so much trouble meeting like-minded men. I've never had trouble finding intelligent men. Now, they may not be the most interesting, entertaining, talented, or good-looking men in the room, but lack of intelligence has not been a problem. I'm wondering what they were actually looking for in a man. It seems that they met a lot of them. Of course, how many of those were married, like Red Dog? I don't know. Have a good week. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and if you are, please subscribe in Spotify. On Apple Podcasts, hit the plus button in the top right-hand corner and rate. This will help my listeners find my podcast more easily. You can access the show's website at www.FromMcClayToZama.com, where I posted photos and links from the episodes. The podcast is now available on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Patreon, and Amazon as well. New episodes will be available each Friday morning. The letters were written by my aunts Vern and Peg, transcribed by me. I write and record the show and have created the artwork and original music. Our producer is Zeke, our sound engineer is intern Sylvie, and the security is provided by intern Frey. Thanks to my great-grandparents, John and Helen, who loved us all and thought it was a good idea to save the letters. All rights reserved, 2024.